guys! So today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's been like hot in the blog sphere recently, and that's jealousy. So Vanessa from Martial Arts and Crafts, Mixed Martial Arts and Crafts, brought this up earlier this week, and I thought her blog post was like so great that I wanted to talk about it. So for the past month or so, I'd say it's been like really popular if you read blogs for like, you know, starting your craft business, like those small businessy sort of blogs, to talk about jealousy. And those posts have been like talking about how, you know, everyone feels jealous. Okay, let's just talk about how jealous we feel. Ooh, that girl's making so much money. Yeah, I feel that too. And Vanessa wrote this great post saying like, stop it. Like, why is everyone being so mean? Like, okay, you know, it's not good to sort of feature all this jealousy. And I think she's completely right. And so since I've been trying to do more video posts, I thought this was a great thing to do a video about. So, okay, so I'm just gonna start saying what I have to say on the topic, and you can leave comments and such on the comment section. Okay, so the first thing that, see, I have a note thing. The first thing that it says is that a lot of this jealousy is driven by like a Facebook sort of culture. So if you think about 100 years ago, everyone lived in really small communities, and when your neighbor's cow died, you heard about it. When your neighbor's cow gave birth, good news, you heard about it. Like when his son got married, you heard about it. So you heard all of the good and the bad things because the community was so small, there was no way to filter it. You heard everything. Now, in online communities, especially Facebook, Ravelry, you know, things like that, you sometimes only hear the good things because the person who's posting is filtering their own responses, right? So you see this, you log into Facebook and it's like, yay, I had a baby. Yay, I won the lottery. Oh my God, my husband brought me roses. Yay, you know? And only some people post everything. So we all know like the Debbie Downer who's like, oh, my car broke down, this and that. I just realized, so I'm calling those people who post negative things Debbie Downers, and that's just like, I mean, maybe it's not nice. That's a complete product of like the new expectations with like Facebook and everything, is you post pretty, you post happy things, and you don't see the whole story. So it's really easy to get jealous, and it sort of fuels this, I think people call it like Facebook rose-colored glasses, because everyone's posting really, really nice things. So the first thing is to keep that in mind. Go ahead and take a look at your Facebook page and what you're posting and think about how someone else would view it. You probably have like a really, really super awesome life too. Item number 2 is that things get exaggerated. So like, to keep it all in perspective, you have to sort of like dig a little deeper. So one thing that's really common on craft blogs and businessy things is to be like, I brought in $100,000. Like that's a super common thing that, or you know, insert dollar amount, but a super common thing to say, right? And it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, how'd they bring in so much money? But on the other hand, you have to like think about it a bit. So one thing to keep in mind is the person a jewelry designer? So one jewelry designer can talk about bringing in $100,000, but if they're working with gold and silver, they have to pay materials expenses. So even if they brought in $100,000, they might be paying out $75,000 in raw gold, raw silver, diamonds, whatever they're working with. So they might have only made $25,000. And the same thing, like if you're looking at prices, you know, people are reporting like the best number that they can report, you know? So before you get jealous about, oh my goodness, look how much money that person brought in, it isn't always what they earned, right? It could just be what through their PayPal account and right back out. And so that's something to think about, and it's something that I'm not going to say anyone's exaggerating, but it's not always something that people are totally upfront about. Number 3, things are relative, okay? So I have really pale skin. This is me. Well, thing one, there ain't a dang thing I can do about it. So these are my options. I could spray tan, I guess. I could sit out in the sun and try and get skin cancer, which quite frankly I will get if I go sit out in the sun without suntan lotion, because my family has a history. I could try and turn beet red like a lobster, or I can just deal, you know? And so I deal. I guess I could wear a lot of foundation. But my paleness and being not so trendy is completely relative. So in a month or so, Tim and I are flying to Vietnam. In Vietnam, it's really esteemed to have pale skin, because having pale skin means that you're not forced to work outside. And this was actually true like in European history a while ago. It meant you weren't forced to work outside. You didn't have to like labor for food. Pale skin means you're like rich and wealthy and stay inside a lot. In American culture, that's not true, because, you know, it's nice to go on a Caribbean vacation and get tan. But in fact, my Vietnam guidebook says, do not compliment someone on their tan. Like, that's really mean to say. So it's completely relative. Another example that makes me giggle is, so in the US, a lot of times, like the little, like, you know, the Gerber baby, it's this little blonde haired baby, you know, because blonde is pretty rare in the US comparatively. And when I went to Finland, where almost everyone's blonde, the ads had these little dark haired children. Like, they picked these children with like the blackest hair you can find, because that's really rare in that culture, and that's what's cute. So when you're getting jealous and thinking about, oh, why don't I have fill in the blank, like, think about, you know, you might just be sort of unfortunate that you're in the wrong culture at the wrong time, but not a lot of things are like concretely or absolutely bad. Like, you know, I'm pale. Thank goodness I'm gonna go travel somewhere else where that's really awesome. But things are relative. Like, another example of relative is, so I have a large tush. Okay, we're not gonna harp on that. My mom says I have a big butt. Tim says I have a big butt. And that's because, like, what's, you know, trendy for white people in suburban America is to be like as stick thin as possible. But gosh darn it, don't you know people go and get butt implants? It's popular in Brazil. I just read an article like a couple months ago. In New York City, people pay and have illegal butt implants. So someone wants a big butt. It might not be my mom, might not be my husband, but I am happy about my butt because I do not need to go get butt implants. And I don't need to pay someone on some sketchy street with some leaking silicone and lots of tragic stuff. I already have my butt. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. So anyway, so we're gonna play a game. I have this on a piece of paper too. So what we're gonna do to like ward off jealousy is you play the I don't have a name. I'm gonna call it like what's the other side game, or like I didn't know the side, or I don't know, I didn't come up with a name for this game. Okay, so what we're trying to do is not like like a really common thing is like, oh, that girl's so skinny, she must not eat, you know. Well, she probably does eat, like, hate to tell you. So we're not gonna like work on dissing the people who have nice stuff. We're gonna talk about what's the other side that you might not have seen. Okay, I already talked about my other side of a big butt. Like, some people like it. I don't know who these people are because I don't run into them, but my current folks aren't into it. But someone likes the big butt, gosh darn it. And you know, I find jeans that fit. They're the Gap curvy ones. They make the jeans for me, don't they? Okay, so anyway, so I've written down a list of things I've either read online or things people have brought up about things that make them jealous. 1, she makes a lot of money. Okay, so we're gonna work on the flip side. So what might you not be thinking about when you see, oh, someone makes a lot of money? Well, you might not be thinking about the weekends they work. You know, are you willing to give up your weekends? Are you willing to give up your evenings? Because a lot of people who are bringing in money, a lot of money, they give up stuff to make a lot of money. Like, not, I mean, unless we're talking about a lotto winner, A lot of people with really successful companies are putting in really, really hard work. And if you, like I do, I value my weekend time. I value the time I spend with my husband. I value cooking my own food. And that reminds me, oh geez, I'm cooking chili right now actually. See, I work at home so I can cook chili, but I think I'm letting it burn while I'm recording this. That's okay. It's good chili. Can I do an aside? We went to a chili cook-off a couple weekends ago. Yeah, Ithaca has a chili cook-off, and we tried lots of different kinds of chili, and one of them was a pulled pork chili. So that's what I'm cooking right now. Who knew? Pulled pork chili. So anyway, I love doing those things, and if I wouldn't trade my life for the world where I make oodles and oodles of money, but I have to get takeout. I don't get to come home at 6 o'clock. Like, you know, that's just a balance. And so that's the other side. I live a leisurely life. That girl has long, beautiful hair. Okay, I can't grow my hair long because I have really fine hair. And once it gets longer than like here, I start to look sort of like Morticia, like, you know. But someone with really long hair sits on it. I have a friend with really long hair and she sits on it. And sometimes it gets caught in doorways. Yep, that's the downside. I'm not saying you shouldn't have long hair, just saying there's another side. Super skinny, this is one that comes up. Oh, she's so super skinny. That super skinny person might have trouble finding clothes that fit. So I have a friend who's really, really small. She's short and small. And she has to buy children's clothes because it's really hard for her to find clothes. It's a downside. Real downside. Oh yeah, this comes up. So, oh, she got a feature in this magazine or this press thing or that blog or whatever. You might not know that, like, very rarely does someone just like get picked out of nowhere for a, you know, a feature. A lot of people who are business people who send out, who are trying to, you know, promote themselves, they send out like press releases or emails to bloggers, and my bet, I could be wrong, my bet is that for that feature, the person probably sent out 5 emails, spent a couple hours getting together resources and materials to get that feature. So it doesn't come for free, you know, it takes work. And so that's the downside, is that that person probably spent hours doing that. Oh, this is a big one. So someone said this online and it really touches base with me. I'm jealous with someone who has a permanent home. I hear ya. So I've moved, I don't know, I think it's been like 5 times in 4 years. I don't know. And it sort of sucks. Like, you don't have friends that you can just like hang out with. It actually, like, sometimes, honest to goodness, I forget what city I'm in. Like, I'll be like, what do I want for dinner? Like, oh man, that good Mexican, oh, that was in the wrong city. You know, like this weekend I'm doing a course. I have no idea where it is, you know, like I have no map in my head about where this place is. So it's tough. It's a real struggle. And like, I crave having a home where I can plant something in the garden, because we move every summer, and so I can't plant things in the garden because they won't grow in time. But what's the upside? That's what we're doing, working on the upside. It's a really great experience, you know. I've lived a lot of different places, I've traveled around, and I've learned a lot, you know. I get to do things that I wouldn't be able to do if I stayed in the same place. And I've met people who have become my friends on these, you know, these hops that I wouldn't have met if I had stayed in the same place the whole time. I'm actually really good at adapting. You let me loose in a city and I'm at the community center, I'm at the yarn store, I am fine in those places. So I'm good at that. So that's an upside. Oh, I want a dog. Yeah, everyone wants a dog. So a lot of people are jealous of people who have a dog. Who wouldn't be? I mean, love dogs. The downside is the maintenance, you know. If you don't have a dog, you get a little spare time that you don't have to worry about the dog. I don't know what that note says, but whatever. If I don't know what it says, we're not doing it. Okay. Oh, here's another one. We talked about the hair. Someone else also pointed out if you're jealous about someone's hair, you probably could have that hair if you paid the salon fees to get it dyed and straightened and perma whatevered and done. You know, you're saving money if you don't have that. Mine's in a ponytail. That's how it is. I blow dried this piece this morning though because I was going on film, so I thought I'd, you know, look nice for you. Okay, so here's one that's the hardest one. And this has come up in my Ravelry group. And I really have to say I really admire the women who have talked about this issue on the group. So there's quite a few people who have what I would call serious health issues. You know, they've had major surgeries, they have ongoing chronic symptoms, or they have kids with difficult issues. So Michelle has a son with epilepsy. Vicky just had a little son with hemophilia. And it's hard to say, oh, what's the good side of having some bad health, you know? But I have to say, as someone on the outside, these women have a perspective that not a lot of other people have. So like I was talking online with Vicky about her son with hemophilia, and you know, I was looking for the bright side and I was like, well, at least like, isn't it great we have medical care now, and you know, so he can get shots that help, you know, that the plasma, whatever, that help him along. And she was like, yeah, like my great grandmother, who, you know, hemophilia is hereditary, used to lay on a bed and they would drain her blood into her son's because they didn't have like real blood transfusions. That's just what they did. And you know, she's completely upbeat and she has the right attitude, and that's a perspective that you don't really get unless you have something negative that you have to work around. And so I get really bad migraines, and I take better care of myself, I think, than I would if I didn't have them, because I know what it's like if I end up with them. I lose 48 hours of my life. So I think it is hard to not be jealous of someone who's really super healthy, or doesn't have a chronic medical problem. But the flip side, because that's what we're doing, is that you get a sense of perspective and you get a sense of what's really important if you're dealing with a really serious problem. And for a lot of people, it propels them to work for those issues, to work on a fundraiser that helps research, or to reach out to other people who have similar problems. So there is an upside. Oh, craft tools. See, now that one, look, now that I've talked about serious medical problems, can't you already feel how silly it is to be ridiculous? How ridiculous it is to be jealous of someone who has more craft tools than you? I don't think that's an exercise for the viewer at home. What's the other side of the craft tools, okay? Like, you can work on that one. That's your homework assignment. So anyway, there's my piece. I hope this wasn't long enough that I have to break it up into 2 YouTube videos. And yeah, so we've had this little convo about jealousy. Like, people have different lives. We're in a cultural situation where it's trendy and popular to only talk about the positive things. And that's good because we're showing everyone nice stuff. But on the other hand, it can create some jealousy. But now that we're in that culture, we're stuck, we're already there, you have to work on guarding yourself against it, because it can make you a cranky pants, and no one wants to be a cranky pants. So go ahead, think about the flip side of it. I encourage you to not like diss the person, like, oh, she lives in a nice house, like her husband must be like smuggling drugs or something. Because he's probably not smuggling drugs. But to go ahead and look at, like, what's the downside? You know, does she have to hire cleaners? Does she need a lawn boy? I don't know. So there are other sides that we don't talk about a lot, and I encourage you to look at that, and you'll fend off the jealousy. So I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later.